Hello, welcome to this video. My name's Dan, aka Lucent. I'm a singer-songwriter, and today I'm going to be doing a bit of a songwriting deep dive with Taylor Swift. We're going to be looking at how she crafts a convincing and emotional storyline. Let's go. I've been wanting to do like a bit more of a songwriting deep dive type video for a while, but I kind of have left it a little bit till I've done a few more Taylor Swift reactions because I wanted to get a real kind of idea of the kind of thing I wanted to do. I'm going to focus in on one aspect of her songwriting that I've really appreciated, and that is how she crafts a storyline. But before we get started, if this is your first video with me, hello, welcome. I kind of properly discovered Taylor Swift as a songwriter like last year, and I've been going through all her old albums doing reactions. If you didn't check out my reaction Friday just gone, I finally did Reputation and I loved it. So yeah, make sure to check that out. I'll leave a link. If you love all things songwriting, all things Taylor Swift, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want to help me out with bumping this video up in the rankings, then please give it a like and leave a comment too. I really want to hear from all of you. So yeah, let's get started. There's something I've noticed in a few particular Swift songs, but it's cropped up a whole bunch of times in slightly different ways, and that is how she tells a story. The way in which she tells a story is almost similar to like how you'd write a book or how a movie or a TV show might actually play out, and I don't think that's particularly common in songwriting. When it comes to pop music, most people tend to focus on one repeated phrase. It's almost like a sound bite. Like if someone were to hear 5 seconds of your song, what image would they get? And not only does Taylor Swift manage to do that, she also manages to write a narrative. It has a beginning, a middle, a twist, and an end, a resolution. So I'm going to be having a little deeper dive into how she does that in some of her songs and what that means to us as the listener. In Western culture, stories are kind of crafted in a specific way. So the beginning is used to like set up this character, set up the scene, set up the plot. So like the example I'm going to use to kind of illustrate this is Harry Potter. We all love Harry Potter. All you Gen Zers that are out there are going to be like, oh my God, it's talking about Harry Potter. What a millennial. Okay, so first it's like setting the scene. So for example, in like Harry Potter, it would be, this is Harry Potter, he lives under the cupboard in the stairs. Oh, he's a wizard and he's going to Hogwarts, which is a school for wizards. Setting the scene, that's beginning the storyline. And then the second section, which is kind of the middle, is developing the characters. So you get to know Harry, you get to like experience his friends, and the plot develops. We've heard something about the stone. There's a mysterious three-headed dog guarding a trapdoor. Developing the story, developing your emotional attachment to the characters as you get to know them. And then the third bit is kind of the twist. So the story ramps up at the end of the middle to a point where you kind of reach the emotional apex. So in Harry Potter, they go through the trapdoor and they go through all the challenges, and then the twist happens. And that twist is that it wasn't Snape the whole time. It was Professor Quirrell, and he has Voldemort at the back of his head. Twist. Hashtag TTT. And then stage 4, this is the ending, the resolution. Harry defeats Voldemort with the power of love or whatever, and learns to believe in himself or something. So we've got these like quite defined sections of storytelling, and actually when you actually take that and actually look at kind of all sorts of media, you can kind of spot these little things. But when you actually look at most pop songs, the structure isn't quite the same. So when you look at a typical pop song, they're quite cyclical. So they have a repeating chorus, the verses set up a little bit of extra information, but they're not kind of designed to really be listened to that deeply often. It's all about that repeating hook, that repeating phrase to really get in your ear and make you remember the song. So that's why it's kind of all the more interesting and surprising when an artist comes and makes a pop song that not only does that, but also tells a convincing story the whole way through. So the first song that I'm going to go through, if you've checked out any of my reactions, you'll know like one of my favorite songs is Mine. I think it's like one of the most perfect songs ever written. I've got 2 examples for you, but Mine is the first. So let's go through the different stages of the structure. We've got a beginning. We've got, you were in college working part-time waiting tables, left a small town, never looked back. I was a flying risk with a fear of falling, wondering why we bother with love if it never lasts. So what have we learned from this beginning verse? We've got 2 characters, you and I. So you were in college working part-time waiting tables. So we've learned that this character, her romantic interest, his background is that he's in college. It's kind of that idea that someone's working in a restaurant to try and make ends meet while they work on their dream and their passion on the side. Hello, me! Relatable content, part 1. And then we found out about I, which is Taylor herself. She's quite kind of tentative about falling in love because something has happened in her past that makes her question whether love is ever going to last. In the pre-chorus and the chorus, she kind of solidifies her feelings for this guy, and you find out that this is a romantic relationship, and she is looking back at the time at which he first put his arm around her. It's just so beautiful. So she set the scene, romance in love, and she is showing us the beginning of who her character is, and that is somebody whose parents have let her down in the love department. She doesn't believe in love because of something that happened with her careless father, and so she's a bit insecure about their relationship, but she still loves him, you know? So that's the beginning. The middle, part 2. So this is developing the storyline, right? And she literally flash forward, and we're taking on the world together, and there's a drawer of my things at your place. You learn my secrets and you figure out why I'm guarded. You say you'll never make my parents' mistakes. So she develops the characters and she develops the plot. Then she says, but we've got bills to pay, we've got nothing figured out. When it was hard to take, yes, this is what I thought about. Their relationship has reached almost like maybe a crunch time because they've got bills to pay. Like, the dreams aren't paying the bills. They're still kind of struggling, but she's trying to keep it together by remembering the time when they first met and they first fell in love. So she repeats the chorus again, you know, typical pop moment, but then she changes the lyrics slightly so that it still sounds like an earworm. It still repeats the chorus, but she gives us a little bit more information and develops the story even further. Do you remember all the city lights on the water? Oh my God, I just love it. You saw me start to believe for the first time. So she's really filling us in how this person has really changed her opinion on love and really made her think, you know, actually maybe love is possible. So that's plot development, character development. We've fallen in love with these two characters because they're relatable, they're going through hard times. Then, here we go, we've got the twist. If you've seen any of my reactions, I go a bit nuts whenever there's a twist in a Taylor Swift song. I call out the hashtag TTT, which hasn't caught on yet, but I'm still hoping, which is the typical Taylor twist for those uninitiated. So, they have a fight. I remember that fight, 2:30 a.m. where everything was slipping right out of our hands. I ran out crying and you followed me out into the street. So the storyline is developing. This is like the bit in Harry Potter where they go through the trapdoor. Like, the storyline is now rushing. Okay, so we knew they were in love, but we knew that times were hard, and we know that she is insecure. Goes running out into the rain, presumably. Does she even say it's in the rain? No, but I'm imagining it's in the rain. She braces herself. She says, I brace myself for the goodbye because that's all I've ever known. And that is the kind of crux there, is that her insecurities are getting the better of her. But then here comes the twist. Then he took me by surprise. He says, I'll never leave you alone. He turns it on his head, completely unexpected. Voldemort's on the back of his head. And then we have the resolution. And this is the most genius moment in the entire song, and what for me makes it the most perfect songwriting song in the world. He says, I remember how it felt sitting by the water, and every time I look at you, it's like the first time. Oh my God. I fell in love with a careless man's careful daughter. She is the best thing that's ever been mine. And it's like, every single time I talk about this song, I get so upset. In this fourth act, the ending, he's turned it on his head, and then the resolution is he has been thinking the same thing that she's been thinking the whole time. And what it teaches us, what it teaches her, is to have faith in their love. He's stuck by her, they've stuck together through all the hard times, but she's still insecure. Through him saying back to her, you know, actually, like, I've been here the whole time and we'll get through this, she learns to trust herself, she learns to trust him, and that is the real lesson learned, the end of the story. And I think that is kind of where it really solidifies itself as such a emotional, brilliant storytelling song, is that it has this like beginning, middle, end, and she learns a lesson, you know? And I think that is the reason why it is so emotional and comes across so well, is because it utilizes this like tried and tested storytelling technique to really bring us on this journey. And it's through that journey that she really pulls at the heartstrings and really surprises you. And they're the things that always get you in a storyline. That is how she manages to make these songs so emotional. And I think it's genius that she manages to fit it into a pop song structure. The chorus repeats 4 times, and it is basically the same each time. The main rhymes and the center of the lyrics are the same. So it fulfills that kind of pop song need, but she just changes these slight moments to really like change the context of the song and keep the story progressing towards the end. And that is the genius. That is the Taylor Swift fairy dust. Okay, so from an early example to a more recent example, I'm now going to talk about The Last Great American Dynasty. The fact that like these songs are like so many years apart and she's still utilizing a similar structure is amazing. But this one is a little bit more complex and a little bit more mature. The lyrics have a bit more detail to them. She kind of fleshes out the characters to an even greater extent. So it loses a little bit of its pop kind of elegance, but it gains a much more kind of deep, rich kind of emotional connection to the character. So let's go through it stage by stage. So we have beginning, middle and end once again with a good twist in the middle. This story is really only about one character, well, up until the end, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the story is about Rebecca. She rode up on the afternoon train. Presumably she's moving away from St. Louis, and this train journey is of note. And then you find out that Bill was the heir to the Standard Oil name and money, obviously rich. And the town said, how did a middle-class divorcee do it? So she actually kind of sets up the town as actually the main antagonist of this storyline. So it sets up the central character of Rebecca. She's married this guy into money, and it sets up her personality as being a little bit of a wild child, you know, and the town have an opinion on it. It's kind of upsetting the status quo. The chorus really solidifies the center of the storyline, that the people think that she's, you know, mad and that she is, you know, ruining this last great American dynasty. She's inherited all this fortune and she's washing it down the drain. So then we go on to the second section, the middle, which is the story development. And this is kind of basically Rebecca fighting against the townspeople and kind of rebelling. She's not giving in to their pressure and the gossip and settling down. She's actually going the opposite way, and she goes even further. Flew in all her bitch pack friends from the city, filled the pool with champagne and swam with the big names, blew through the money on the boys in the ballet, and losing on card game bets with Dali. So she basically is living this uber extravagant lifestyle. So in response to the gossip and the people thinking that she's the maddest woman ruining everything, she's just like, well, I don't care, I'm just gonna keep on being me. And actually, in kind of sticking up for herself, she's kind of rebelling against them and going even further. And as a result of this, we then go into the middle eight, the ramping up of the storyline, the going through the trapdoor, the argument in the rain. But for Rebecca, it's her kind of losing a sense of who she is. So they say she's seen on occasion standing on the rocks looking out at the midnight sea. So she's kind of contemplating her life and where she's got to. She doesn't fit in with these people. She feels like a loner. And it has actually got to the point where in a feud with her neighbour, she stole his dog and dyed him key lime green. So she's kind of ramped up her rebelliousness, where she's now like stealing people's dogs and dyeing them crazy colours. You're kind of built up to expect like a resolution to this storyline, and this is when the twist comes in. She bought the house. It completely recontextualizes the entire song to mean something totally different, like The Sixth Sense or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, spoilers for The Sixth Sense from like 1998. You build up this storyline about like this kid who sees dead people, and then the big twist, which recontextualizes the entire movie, is that he was dead all along. He was one of the dead people. And then when you go back and actually look at the movie, watch the movie again, nobody interacts with him. He is dead the whole time. And it's like this amazing twist. And this is what Taylor does with this twist. Obviously, like, things got to a point with Rebecca and like, it wasn't resolved. Obviously, she died or sold the house or whatever, but the house kind of became this kind of symbol of like bad luck and this kind of bad omen. So for 50 years, it stood on this beach free of women with madness and men in bad habits, but then it was bought by me. Taylor brings herself in as a character at the last moment and says, I bought the house. And that is probably the biggest twist in pop song history. So she repeats the chorus just like the pop songs say she should, but she changes the pronouns, so it's all about her. There goes the most loudest woman this town has ever seen. I had a marvelous time ruining everything. So she kind of recontextualizes the song as actually this song is about her relating to this woman, her feeling for this woman who was ostracized by her town for being an individualist and being herself. And Taylor feels that she relates to this person, presumably through her dealings with the media and being a pop star and how she was painted as this kind of crazy woman, this mad woman, it means that the whole song the whole time is about Taylor relating to the story of this woman. And that is the resolution, that she should take a leaf out of Rebecca's book and just do her own thing. So that is kind of like the center of why the song is just so special, is because it is like The Sixth Sense. She was dead the whole time. No, the whole song was actually about something else. And once again, she manages to retain this sense of it being a pop song, but she manages to tell such a complex story with such a kind of pull the rug from underneath you kind of twist. She makes such subtle changes and such minimal changes and manages to walk the line between an epic movie and a pop song. And that really is the kind of masterstroke of her storytelling. Make sure to let me know in the comments below what your favorite Taylor Swift storytelling moments are. Let me know if there are any songs or any kind of Taylor Swift songwriting examples that you would want to see me dig into a little bit deeper. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, then of course make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for notifications. I release new videos every single Friday, but obviously sometimes I release them on Tuesdays too. So make sure to ring the bell and then you'll get a notification whenever it comes up. I'll see you again soon. Bye.